Okay, everybody. Thank you for coming. Unfortunately, we have to be here, but the reason I've called this meeting together, and it's September 2nd at 9 a.m., the reason I called this is there are delays on the road out there. And I just wanted to get the council updated on where we're at. And I want to look at, see if there's any options or any opportunities for us to do anything about it, working with the contractor and engineer and whoever. I see almost overwhelmingly everybody in here is a business owner of some degree, so businesses have been affected. So we had a meeting on Tuesday. The last update schedule on this thing is an approximate completion, open the gates date of September 21st. It's September 14th, 15th, asphalt, wait 4 days for striping, whatever. Weekend, my calculation puts us at about the 21st. So in this meeting, I asked, is there anything we can do to open the road up with flagmen, with barricades, whatever. And there appears to be an unwillingness to look at doing anything at all. So one of my questions to the council here is would the city be willing to offer to the contractor that we would pay for a pilot car or pay for some flagmen or do something to have access going through the town? I know there's a few people in here that want to do a little testimonial of what's happening. But the business is up on the north end and on the south end. I mean, just the traffic through town is cut in half. And, you know, they're being impacted huge, 30, 40% down from last year. And it's because we can't get through town. So I'm going to open this up to a little bit of public comment. But I just want to tell you that we're not going to be yelling or screaming or doing anything. This is a constructive meeting. Is there anything we can do? That's what it's all about.
Dave, can I correct your timing?
Sure.
Okay, the most recent schedule would put paving on the 15th of September. And there's a cure period before permanent pavement marking can go down, which the county holds to a 7-day. So
I thought it was 4.
You're further out than that.
Okay.
There is the opportunity for temporary pavement marking immediately after paving, and then the road can be opened up at that point.
So one of my options, I'm going to throw a couple thoughts out here. I don't know what we can do, but one of them is could we do a temporary striping on the base coat and cover it up with the final coat? You know, that's one thing. Could we do a pilot car? Could we do flagmen? Could we do anything? And maintain the road closed. We understand it's a construction site, and we got to respect that. But we also understand the number of people that come to this town. And again, this is the third big weekend during this project, and there's going to be 20,000 people here. So
I'd be interested in asking Phil if there are any options. What are the options from a construction point of view that we could potentially do?
we have to have willingness to be able to work on an option. So.
It's the contractor's site.
That's right.
We need to make sure that the contractor is leading the effort to feel comfortable enough that they were going to allow traffic through their site. Right now, the liability and the risk is the contractor's. It's the contractor's site. So I'm not going to direct what they should be doing because that's not what we can do or should do.
Fortunately, we have a representative of the contractor here. I'm not going to really identify him, but I'm going to offer if he wants to get into this conversation. The guy in the yellow shirt back there.
I'm the county engineer. So
let's spend a few minutes on a little bit of public input, what's happening and what's impacting it, and why, the fuse is getting short. There's no question about it. So does anybody from the public want to come up and say something? Cindy, come on up. I ask you to keep it totally respectable and relatively short.
You know me, Dave. Thank you. My name is Cindy Mugato. I'm a resident of the city, and I am the director at the Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you for calling this special meeting so that everyone can hear the same message at the same time. I am taking so many calls, as I'm sure the city is, and there is so much confusion regarding this road closure or opening date. Just on Tuesday, the city's website still had information suggesting the project would be complete by August 14th. However, the contractor reports were showing a completion date of September 1st. Wednesday, the information was changed to only include the contractor's notes, and the completion date had been changed to September 16th. The city website is the primary source of information on this road construction project. I send people there every single day. Locals, tourists, and businesses, that's what they rely on to have the information accurate and available. So I would ask that you that when a change of this magnitude is made, that you inform the public with a message on the front page of your website. And by all means, contact me, contact the newspapers, do whatever you have to do to get this information out. I don't know if you truly appreciate how exhausted the residents of Cross Lake are with this detour. It is the single most talked about thing in the city of Cross Lake, has been all summer. It's disrupted businesses, tourism activities, and detoured people from even coming anywhere near Cross Lake. At the onset of this project, we were told that Phase 1 would be complete by July 4th and Phase 2 by the middle of August. Following the delay on the first, Mr. Martin sent me an update stating this, and I quote, "After the intersection work is complete, County Road 66 north of Daggett Pine will remain closed. Traffic will be able to use County Road 66 in Phase 1 to Daggett Pine Road from the south while the concrete curb and gutter work is being completed and the road is paved. We plan to leave the local detour signage up for a little while as the contractor wraps up the road building in Phase 1. Today is September 2nd, and this intersection is still closed. We're still detoured through Log Landing, and the commercial trucks are still routed on a 21-mile detour." At the August council meeting, Mr. Martin again shared with me that paving would finally commence the last week of August, and the project would be complete by Labor Day. Now the date is pushed back to September 16th, which I only learned by digging through the construction reports on your website. So if the plan was to allow traffic through Phase 1 still in a gravel state while they were completing curb and gutter, why has that not happened? And even now, the road is paved all the way through Phase 2. It's completely passable. We've all been through recent road construction areas in Merrifield and in Ideal where they're allowing traffic to pass using pilot cars during the day. They sideline the equipment at night, and on the weekend, the traffic is allowed to go through. You can do better. This is just not acceptable. I've read the reports. Dave, you've raised concerns over the delays. Mr. Martin, you've raised concerns over the delays. And yet Casper is just running the show. So who's in charge? Who's writing the checks? These people are. I don't know when this project will be complete. But in the meantime, I'm asking that you spend the penalty fees that I hope you're collecting on a pilot car during the day so the work can get done safely and allow vehicles to pass during the night and on the weekends. And I thank you for your serious consideration.
Cindy, thank you. One thing I neglected to put on top of the mule here hauling this around is that Tuesday morning, we've got 4 different school districts trying to drive through town to pick up kids for school. And I don't have a clue how that's going to happen. I don't know what the routes
It's
are.
already taken care of.
Okay. But Phil, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to be, there's been a lot of things that have been taken care of, like garbage pickup.
Buses are already going through, Dave. They just went
Huh?
through this morning. Buses are already coordinated and they're going through.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Larry? Larry Geschwell from Simonson Lumber.
We are taking a hit as far as how much it's costing us. It's costing us $1,000 a week, and I think we'll be up to $6,000 just for extra fuel and stuff, just for the reroute. But you know, we don't care about that. What we care about is the safety. When our semis are, you know, coming into the yard and backing up and turning around and going all over the place, it gets scary. You know, so I think it's important that, you know, Casper says that it's a safety thing for them to get through the yard or to have traffic run through. What about us who are really, we're dodging bullets every day backing up semis, having bicycles drive through the yard, you know, having motorcycles come through, having people just, sure, it's our responsibility. We've got the rudest signs up already that I think to keep people out. And anyway, so I think that, yeah, the businesses that are losing money, we're losing money on it. It was supposed to, I think, Pat said August 16th or whatever it was supposed to be done. So that's just, it's too much time. So anyway, that's all. We're more concerned about the safety, and now with the kids and stuff, and us backing out to Oxlade Road or whatever back there, and, you know, backing all the way across the street and turning the semis around and coming through, it just doesn't work. So.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, you're talking about semis that are not delivering to your facility, correct?
No, that are delivering to us.
They are, okay.
Yeah,
I just-
and then we've had a couple of, a couple of them that also,
Oh, sure.
down in Baxter, they call us and they say, we're not coming up there. And so we've unloaded them down there, loaded them on our trucks, brought them back up. So it is a pain in the butt, but again, it's the safety part is number one. So.
Thank you.
And from the beginning, I believe that it's been portrayed that we're going to have deliveries, we're going to have traffic be able to flow with minor interruptions in it. I think that's the general feel that we all got going into this. Does anybody else have anything?
Doug Oster, Cross Lake resident, 13600 County Road 16. I just have to say that I've been photographing since the start every week through the whole series of right up till yesterday. And I used to work for a pipeline company for 10 years. And we went right through Minneapolis in the Cedar Riverside area and always had one lane open. The only time we ever had the whole road closed was when we had a gas leak one day. So we had every road we worked on, right through Cedar Riverside, right through Minneapolis, a 20-inch gas line, we always had one lane open because we realized how much that affected the traffic and the people and everything. So if they need any proof, I could see through much of the summer there was a very slim crew working, maybe like 3 to 4 people, and one piece of equipment. That was very strange. I mean, yes, they probably got other jobs going, but I think they could have sped it up at that time. So if you need any proof of that, I've got all the videos and the photographs of that, the small crews that should have been keeping up a little bit faster, I'm guessing. And now we're stuck with 65 days was a projected finish line of working. They've had 80, and now they're asking for 95. That's a long ways off the estimate.
No. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
And we're all business owners. We all respect the fact that labor, help, it's an issue with everybody, trying to find people to work. I think it's real apparent that that's part of the problem here with this. But now that we're getting to the last few weeks of this, my plea is there anything we can do to soften the pain a little bit? That's what I'm looking for. Does anybody else have anything? Richard?
Richard Eide, Cross Lake resident and one of the owners of Moonlight Bay. We're benefiting from this greatly. It's a great thing for us, but it's been brutal to deal with. I mean, the schedule has been wrong since day one. We've been, it was First, it was phase one will be finished and completed before phase two starts. It was, I mean, and I understand, like you said, it's hard to get people, it's hard to get workers, it's hard to whatever. But I don't know, I've had to go to Pequot to drop our son off at practice the last few days. We go back and forth to Pequot. That's been open. I understand they're not doing any in-ground work. There's no sewer, there's no, storm sewer, there's none of that. But they've managed to keep that open, and that's a thoroughfare. People have to get through there. Well, the section of road between, County Road 16 and Daggett Pine, there's no way around it. Unless you want to go drive through Simonson's parking lot, and they're not real fond of that, and they shouldn't be. We've given them more than the allotted time to get this project finished. Aaron, if you hired somebody to build a deck at your house and they said it was going to take 30 days, and we're approaching the 90th day, I'm guessing you'd be out there screaming at them going, what in the world is going on? And I get it. I was a landscape contractor before we got in the restaurant business. If we had a project that was getting late and things weren't getting done, guess what, guys? We're staying late. We're going to come work on Saturday. We're going to get this done. Like, you can't just every week decide that, well, we didn't get there, let's tack another week on. Let's tack another week on. I mean, this has to get done. And I don't know, Phil, Bolton and Mink is managing the project, right, as the city engineer?
We observe it.
Okay,
The
well,
contractor manages, it's his means and methods to get the project done. We
Okay.
make sure that the quality of the work is there. We clarify project questions. We inspect, we verify quantity.
Okay.
We try and communicate to everyone what's going on.
I feel like at this point, the road is to a point, it's safe and passable. There's no one down working in holes. There's not, excavators that are swinging around getting things done. I get it. If there's times that we need to have that, and there's people out there working and we don't want to risk life, but when there's not in the evening, this is a huge weekend. I mean, as all of us business owners, we've already given up Memorial Weekend. We gave up the 4th of July, which from what I understood, phase one was going to be done on the 30th. Phase two wasn't supposed to start until the 5th of July. That seemed like the 4th of July, we were going to get a gift and we were going to let people move through the town like they'd like to. Is there any way, and I don't know who's here from Casper or who can speak to it, but is there any way that, like Cindy spoke to, County Road 16, every night that you went through there, they came through, they paved the double yellow line down the middle so people can see it. All their equipment was moved off to the edges of the road, and you could drive through there when they weren't working on it. How do we make that happen for Cross Lake for Labor Day weekend?
Thank you, Richard. So just so you know, I've been on that job every day since it started, other than a few days.
And you're the only one.
To the point that it's a real pain in the ass to, the construction guys can't stand to see me come around, the engineers, I am a pain in the butt. But I need to answer to you, I gotta be firsthand so I can see what's going on. And I realize how critical it is to you. I feel the pain. I drive through town all the time from a selfish personal level. But I know how we just blend mold up and down that road all the have always. And I just can't understand now when we get to this point where the curbs are in, the dirt work is done, there still is an excavator on site, so there still is some equipment. But why we can't close this meeting, get somebody to stripe that road on a temporary basis. There's going to be a cost to it. That's why I need the council here to support that. And open it up a little bit. Work with each other. I mean, that's all I've been asking for throughout the whole process. And now the last meeting, they said, absolutely not. The road is closed until the last piece of paint is applied. And I agree with you. I have a hard time accepting that. Is there anybody? Yeah, please, come on up.
Hi, my name's Mike Darris. I'm a Cross Lake resident, and appreciate you having this meeting. I'm wondering, as a representative from the chamber mentioned, if we're not in charge, who is? So are there remedies in place in this contract with Casper? Have we pursued any of those remedies? It seems to me that if they're making unreasonable assumptions about the end of this and what we can do, Dave, I know you're trying, if they're making unreasonable or giving us unreasonable answers, don't we have remedies in that contract? And shouldn't we try to press them on that so that we have a little bit of leverage? Because if there are common sense things we can do, and I think, we've talked before, Dave, I know you know it, there's lots of things that we could do, and it sounds like they're being unreasonable. Well, let's push back.
Yeah.
We have the authority to do that as a city. And there has to be some sort of remedy. So,
Well, and that is the value to this meeting, is it's hopefully sending a message that, we're exhausted. Pat, come on up.
Pat Netco, 36084, County Road 66, Cross Lake. If nothing else, then to get the road open for Labor Day weekend. So we had a little bit of help with the bypass on the earlier part of the summer to get people through. If we have to have a 5-minute delay because of a pilot car or whatever, oh well. It's much better than a 21-minute drive around to get there. The calls that I get every single day and the comments from customers are so negative, and they don't even want to come to Cross Lake. They're just avoiding it like the plague. And they ask, how do we get there? How do we get to your spot? I ordered an ice cream cake, but I can't get to your spot. How do I pick it up? And they have to tell them how they have to go around, and then they're frustrated and they're angry. So we need Labor Day weekend for our businesses. We need this to go into our winter. And if nothing else, get something done today for this weekend to save it for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
So Phil, where's the contractor today? Is there somebody from Casper here? Okay, you're here. I know there's a lot of frustration, but it's not your job to solve the issue. And I think the only way we're going to get this solved is sitting down with Casper. And as a council, we can direct Phil.
Excuse me, it is our job to solve this.
We're hearing your input. We understand you're frustrated, and it's a project like many that are going late. But it's our job to actually get it done. We're listening to you. We have. And the only way I see this getting done, we can't just arbitrarily do something because the contractor owns the road right now. We have a contract with them. Anything we do could mess up whatever's in the contract, and we don't want to do that. But we need to talk to Casper and find out what you can do. We've had a great suggestion, 1 lane open. We're running out of time. Memorial or Labor Day weekend starting here. So the question that we have is it possible, you've heard what people have said, can we get 1 lane open and get all of the equipment stopped over the weekend until Tuesday? Is that something, I know it's a last minute thing, but we don't have any more time. We don't have any more time to call any more special meetings. We should just be sitting down with your company and trying to figure out what we can do. And you've heard a lot of ideas here, but if the road's paved, I don't know why we can't do that, but we have to have your agreement to go along with that, so.
And I think temporary striping, would be a huge benefit. Now, that's pretty short notice, but.
I'd like to hear from Casper.
My name is Tom Elverson. I'm the project manager on this project. So just so everyone is aware, I was not invited to this meeting. I heard word of mouth. Wanted to be here to represent my company. Some of the major complaints are the schedule, and it does not sound like the residents and maybe not the council is made aware of all the extra work that was added to the project. The entire east side curb was planned originally to remain in place. This project is nearly a mile long, so there's 4,900 feet of curb on the east side that was added. This was added 5 days before the concrete subcontractor was scheduled to come in and pour curb. So there's a process during construction. If we could have removed all the curb and gutter at the start of the job with the west side that we did, speeds up the process. When you remove one side, build your road, and right before you're gonna pour the curb and gutter over here, they decide to rip this out. There's more earthwork that needs to happen beneath that curb. There's more grading behind the curb, topsoil behind the curb.
Tom, I don't
I
mean
know
to,
Bolton and Mink had their guy working the weekend to redesign the project in order to make it work. A lot of the road work that we had done, the design and grades changed on it. So,
I don't mean to interrupt you though, but there's a day for all that and we will go through and talk and discuss, but from.
is that not relevant to this?
You know, it is
conversation?
relevant. I mean, we understand. That's why we're here. But the point of this is from today moving forward, what can we do? That's what our question is. What can we do?
Unless you have a striper in town, it's gonna be nearly impossible to get a contractor to come up here and stripe that road today.
Can we use the road without stripes? I've done lots of roads in the past with no stripe.
If the city and the county are willing to accept liability, you guys can open the road. But it is our responsibility, our liability. If somebody gets hurt, I was just up there, 2 trucks just swerved around my dump truck. They would not even stop and wait for him. They continued to go through and swerved around him, nearly hopping the curb, because they did not read or see the road closed signs.
That's why we're here though, because it's unsafe. The residents are pissed off and they don't care anymore. What we're asking is for you guys to come up with a way that people can safely travel through there. There's pavement curb to curb. I understand things come up in construction and there's delays. We now have pavement curb to curb, and there should be a way that we can safely open this up and let people pass through it. Because you're right, it's not safe. I'm out there every day looking at it. I mean, you know, your guys are out there. They're human beings. We don't want anything to happen to them. We want to safely get the people through. Because right now, they don't care. They're sick of driving around. They're sick of dealing with it. We all were told it was going to be done before now, and people are fit to be tired. They just want to get through the road. So let's find a way to safely get them from A to B. It can be done. I mean,
And the county is not going to, and the city is not going to we're trying to work with you to come up with an idea. We don't want to override you. We don't want to, none of that, you know?
To allow traffic on that road, for liability purposes, there needs to be striping, there needs to be signs. There's no speed limit sign up on that road right now. So if the city, again, wants to accept liability for allowing a road to be open with no signage and no striping to delineate lanes, I'm all for it. I will direct my guys that are here today to move all of the traffic control devices. But there is nothing on that road. If somebody gets in a head-on accident, who's responsible? There's no
So,
signage. I'm responsible. My company is.
The striping, that's a challenge to me, you know? And if you put that on our shoulders, we'll try to fix.
I was just gonna say, the county has those 4-foot barriers that you can get right in the center and have the reflective both sides and that delineate or that line the center of the road. You can also have that on the other side.
Yeah, come on up if you want to say something. But that's what, Tom, that's what we're trying to figure out. That's all, you know?
Keep in mind, the city does not have liability insurance to cover us. So that's a problem. Number 2, we don't own that road. The county does. Number 3, the county is paying for all of that pavement and that end of the work from their end. The city's not. So for us to sit here and try and maneuver something is financially a real difficulty for us. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do understand that, and I'm frustrated that the county hasn't been involved in any weekly meetings on site.
I'm kind of throwing the county engineer under the bus here.
We got a
a little bit, and I
representative from the
apologize for that.
county, so we got the parties here, and if we could come up.
Thanks for your input. So he said signs and markings. Can we use cones, and do we have, Pat, do we have anything that stripes in your list of?
Not that I'm aware of.
We have a lot of cones?
We got cones, but I don't think we'd have enough to do an adequate job.
Does the
But
county?
that would be the county too, that's more of the,
Yeah, well, I don't know.
it's all the
We haven't-
county has to
we
call
haven't got
shots
to
on
Tim
it.
yet.
But Dave, if we're going out there, we're putting city employees to put them out in city cones, then we're accepting liability.
We have to have an understanding from the county.
Well,
Tim, come on up and help us navigate this.
Do you have
Seems like we're
striping?
this close, you know?
Do you have striping in the county?
We do not have a striper, so a striping machine. I was just texting Rob Hall, who you all know, to see if we have the ability to source something like that. I've had some discussions with the mayor and also Administrator Linus over the last couple days about the county's position on this, and we're kind of the same opinion that we must have a liability shifted to the city to make sure that if it is open, that the city assumes the liability. It is a city contract with the contractor, and as it stands right now, when that happens, the liability falls on the contractor. They do own the road. They're, in this particular case, and in other construction cases, they need to control what's going on there to keep their workers safe and make sure that they can get the work done. And so if it was to open this, I'm sorry.
Did the city approve that change order for the curb, the mile? We did?
We extended the contract quantity. we
So it
agreed to
didn't
do
come
what-
before the city council, or it did?
Well, that's a county thing.
Not.
It would be a county
So that
cost.
contract is with
Is
the
it- yeah.
county?
Yeah.
No, the contract is one contract. The cost is the county's.
I understand the cost, but the change order did not come before the council. Is that, right? The change order for the additional curbing? That would extend the contract did not come before the city
We were
council?
able to extend the quantity at the contract price.
But maybe if the council would have known it was going to extend the contract, that might have been a different story.
It probably
So-
would have added 4 weeks to the decision.
Yeah, let's focus on what, if anything, can we do? So if we leave the road closed signs up, but maybe not quite as many of them, and we stripe the road up?
Dave, it
You
doesn't
just blew
matter-
it.
It doesn't matter how many you leave up. They've been moved in the past. They would get
Well-
moved again.
is it a violation of the law to move a sign, a posted sign?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
What is the penalty for it? I'm just curious.
I do not know.
Huh? It's a misdemeanor. Thank you.
So, but my whole point of this whole thing is it appears to be reasonably safe conditions now, and it seems like we could do something without taking the whole thing over. I mean, that's where I'm stuck, because it just seems like we're close enough now. Come on up. You got to come up.
So my question, I guess, to the council, it seems like there's no reason why they want to take on additional liability. And
Correct.
I can understand that. We need to give them a reason. That's why I'm talking about the
Okay, so
contract.
just to clarify that, the contract has liquidated damages clause in there. And it's
Okay.
based on, we have an original project deadline that in this case, because of when they started, was 65 working days on an original contract. Had there been no delays whatsoever, August 16th would have been the 65th working day. Okay? Now, they get delay if there's climate-related events, if we add work, if they encounter some stuff below ground, or we, just things extended. So there's then an adjustment of that point. They make their claims, and from my experience, they claim very high, and then we review it based on the documentation we have, and we bring it into what we believe is reality, and that starts the discussion of where liquidated damages are. Right now, the liquidated damages are $2,160 for every day that expires beyond us being able to open that road for normal traffic operations,
After the
which means,
65.
yeah, so after the 65, or the adjusted date.
And the real
Agreed.
cost of this is the cost of all the business
Correct.
owners here. So it's not the cost of the contract or how much that changed.
No,
It's the cost of, all these people's
And
businesses.
the liquidated damage would not probably come up to the cost that economically, and that's a hard one to prove, but that's a fact. There's more
I
economic
guess all I'm
cost.
saying is, or the suggestion I'm making to Casper is that, we can go back and forth, the liability goes to the city or the liability goes to the county. Neither are gonna take on that liability, I doubt it, right? So they can't. So this is your liability. This is your liability. Now, there were project delays, you've done, I'm sure, plenty of different construction projects, these things happen. But if there's liability to be had, it's yours. It seems clear.
Let's find a striper.
14 Lakes has a striper. We used it to stripe our parking lot.
Okay, whoever said that, would you come up and put it on record here, please?
The extension of that, the extension of that question is, would something like this, if we were able to pull it together, could we work with you and do it?
Striping?
Yeah.
If you guys have a striper in town and can get the road striped to the specs that the county and the engineer.
And it would be a dotted stripe as a temporary, right? I mean, that's what you do. Or it doesn't matter, if we have a striper, we'll stripe it however you want, but are you?
I don't write the specs and I don't design the project, I just build it, so that would need to come from the engineer on.
So the engineer and Tim, can you see any window of opportunity to make this work if we could get it striped and signs up? Yeah, who? Tim? Yeah.
Whoever's speaking, because
Okay.
everyone who's on Zoom.
Okay. Oh, there's some people on Zoom, huh?
We do allow, we utilize temporary striping, as a couple people mentioned, the project at 16 and 39 utilize temporary striping. And I'm not positive if temporary striping is actually in the contract already. If it was going to be open to traffic, it seems like it would be in there. It's Friday at 10 o'clock or so, and it's going to
It's
be
9:37 right now.
9:37, very
We got
difficult.
plenty of time.
Very difficult to maybe source a striper. So we utilize, the difference between this and the highway project is they have a manhole sticking up this far. And actually, I was just out there, and so they're still filling in some of the holes. So there is some danger for people as they drive through there. And so there is a potential for something to happen. As people, going both ways, trying to navigate the manholes and each other. And so striping is very important, and signage is very important.
Well, just to throw this out there, as we've seen you guys have seen it in the last 3-4 weeks, when you leave on Friday, it's open anyway. And there's no more dangerous condition than that. I mean, it happens, right?
People have constantly moved signs and barricades and drove into areas of
Yeah.
road closure. Type 3 barricades that say road closed, they get moved. One car goes through and sees that one got through.
Yeah.
There's a train that comes through.
So if we could try to control it a little bit through striping, signage, speed limit 30 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour, whatever, people would much rather snail crawl through there than go drive all the way around. And we direct our law enforcement to have a real presence there. It should be. Huh? It hasn't happened yet.
Requested in multiple meetings for law enforcement to be there to ticket people. In your weekend of the cardboard boat race, I believe an officer sat there and there were so many people that were moving signs, it was a lost cause.
I'll speak to that right now, Richard, and you don't have to worry about it. Everyone moves the signs. I had an officer out there one day, and he was stopping people, and when he stopped people, there were 10 to 20 other cars that went by him while he was stopped with the one car. We've had city officials that move signs and go through themselves. And I've had business owners call me and complain that the officer is stopping people in that area because they are trying to get to their business. I've got 5 officers. What do you want me to do? Put 4 of them there? Because it won't be enough.
No, Eric, it's
We've
just,
had 3 of the busiest months in the last 3 months, and I don't know what's going on that the businesses aren't busy, because we're sure as hell busier than we've ever been. So,
I'm not trying to put the burden on you.
well, the burden was just put on me.
That's
So-
what I just wanted to speak to. That's why this needs to get made, because you've seen it with your officers. I've seen it out there. I mean, the residents of Cross Lake are willing to take the risk of moving the sign, driving through our yard, driving through Anderson's or Simonson's lot. Like, yeah, everybody knows, every person that's driven past a road closed sign knows they're breaking the law, you know? I mean, that's pretty evident. They want to get through. So what we need to decide and what we need to figure out is a way to safely do that rather than make it an unsafe situation. Because just like you stated, people are doing it every weekend. I mean,
Richard, when I went to Moonlight during this time, multiple times I've been to Moonlight, enjoyed your
we
business.
appreciate that.
I've gone around. Simple. Plain and simple, I've gone around. When I went to Manhattan, I went around. The road's closed. I went around. Who the hell do people think they are that they can take and move the signs? And I'm totally embarrassed by the city right now, and I'm sorry for the businesses. You are suffering, I'm sure. But I have never seen a more bunch of entitled people than I have seen in the last 3 months in this town. I am completely embarrassed. They move signs, they look at us. They went through Simonson's. We were there for days talking to people and telling them not to go through there. It's a liability for Simonson's. Simonson's was complaining because they were scared they were going to hurt bicyclists. They look at us like we're crazy. People just have to relax, and I understand it's another 21 minutes, whatever it might be. But, geez.
I guess what I'm asking and what I totally understand what you're saying, Eric. It makes perfect sense. But the bottom line is people are still doing it, whether they're right or wrong or it's the right thing to do or whatever. We're at a point in the construction project now where it sounds like if we can get a stripe down the road, or maybe it's a row of cones for the weekend, and we figure out a way to, do we have, I'll drive up to Walker and pick up the 20-mile-an-hour signs if that's what it takes. I'll donate my time and my whatever to help. But how can we get to a situation where, I get it. It's, we're getting closer to, it's 9:42 now. How do we get the striper here on Friday? Probably not going to happen. Does a row of cones down the middle solve that problem? Can we get that done? And Pat, maybe it's, if we get cones and we get signs, can your guys, as the city employees, get out and put those up today?
I'll put them, I'll help you.
Well, we can get it done, but you still got to figure out the liability risk.
So
Let's let Tom come on up
I
and,
was gonna say, Tom's
got to
can we
be
just
a big
clarify,
part of this deal.
Just clarify the situation.
Right.
Forget about the delay. So the situation is the contractor holds all the liability with this. Okay, we just know that right now. The county has indicated if you indemnify them from any liability, the city can pursue something, okay? Then the question is simple, and I'm going to tell you out of the gate, and it won't be popular. I am concerned if you jump into this and take on some of the role in directing what's going to happen, you are going to impact our contract. But that might not matter in the end. So the question is, simply, does the city want to take on some of the liability with this activity? And you can do that. You just have to go into it with your eyes wide open. There might be nothing happens. There might be nothing happens. There's move signs. Nothing apparently has happened that we're aware of. But I guarantee you, if you wade into this, you are giving up some of your right to be away from the liability. And there. Now make a decision. Do you want to put something together? Do you want to dip your toe in the water and be partly liable over the next 4 days? And I guess I don't know if the tail goes further than that. And then you still have to have a contractor that's willing to allow it. But I don't want to spend the next hour here hearing people
Well,
bitch.
that's
Make a
why we have to
decision and
get,
let's
Tom
go.
can speak on behalf of the contractor, right? You
Yes.
currently have the liability.
Yes.
So it's up to you. So if there's something that you've heard that we've talked about that you think we can make happen before 3 o'clock or what, today, and it'll be, in your mind, safe, that's what we're looking for here. Obviously, I'm not looking on taking on any more liability. I don't want it to get in your knickers and tell you how to run your business. But you have the job right now, the contract. We've heard striping. Somebody said they had a striper here at 14 Lakes. I don't know if it'll work or if we can buy it. If we said you're off the hook on the penalty for 3 days, could you take that money and make an effort to get this open for 3 days?
The
We have the road?
liability is the bottom line here. The owners of
Yep.
my company will not allow me to open this road and assume all the liability.
What is the liability if there's an accident and because of negligence or something?
That's my construction site out there right now. If a car runs into one of my backhoes, I assume all liability for that accident.
Both sides
My
of it.
responsibility to control that site. When people move signs and drive through it, I've lost control of it. But those signs are in place for that reason, to keep people out of there, for safety, for the safety of the residents, for the safety of my employees. I want every one of my guys to go home to their family at night. I want every one of these residents to go home to their family at night.
What he's saying is real. I've lived this last year in Little Falls. We had a gentleman walk onto the site past signs. He got run over by an excavator. The civil suits follow, and the strings are far-reaching. So, I mean, again, it sounds like we're trying to build something in a bubble here, but again, you have the decision in front of you, but things he's concerned about, he's concerned for a reason.
Is Casper planning on working this weekend?
No.
Then you won't have any of your employees hit.
You should really come up and identify yourself, sorry, but if you're
I
gonna,
just wanted him to clarify that, he had the mic.
okay.
So if they're not working,
If the city wants to take liability for the 3 days that we're not working here, then that's your guys' decision. I'm not here to sway you one way or the other. That's the black and white. If you want to assume liability, you guys can decide. You guys can tell me what you want, and I will try and help and coordinate for that. But I'm not going to take liability for this. I've had liability on my shoulders this entire project when people are moving signs and driving through areas they're not supposed to be. A small factor here is what if they go through and destroy some of the work that's already been completed? My job is to control my job site. I don't necessarily get paid to go and do that rework if somebody destroys what's already been done.
I totally understand that, yeah.
There's turf growing all on phase one. If somebody hops that and drives through it and ruts it up, I gotta pay a guy to go and restore that at my own cost.
Let's see what Richard's got to say here.
Don't go real far, I'm sure you'll be right back. What if we, so when phase one was happening, that section of road was closed. Nobody went in there other than the residents that had to get to their houses. So let's barricade that off south of Daggett Pine, barricade it off right out here at the intersection. We find a way to stripe from Daggett Pine Road to County Road 16, and people won't go where they're not supposed to go. They just want to get through town. So if we can, figure out cones or striping or whatever we can do to get that, these guys have access to the city-owned lot on the corner of Daggett Pine and 66. I would assume they can get their equipment parked on that for the weekend. We can use the detour that has been marked and has posted speed limit signs and all that, that people have been using to get to the community center and to try to sneak through and get through. That'll get us through this weekend. We get back to, the only section of the road that there isn't a workaround for is County Road 16 to Daggett Pine. If their equipment, their excavators are off the roadway, there's a delineation of the line down the middle. I mean, is that something that we can make work? The city maybe assumes the liability for that chunk of the road for the weekend. I'm just trying to come up with ideas and try to come up with a solution to what appears to be a major problem in our city.
I appreciate your input and your ideas, everybody, I really do. But these people up here have to make the decision on the liability. Otherwise, I will not, the owners of my company will not. So we can keep coming up with ideas, but
So what exactly is the liability? If somebody gets in a wreck, or if your equipment gets hurt, or if turf gets damaged? I mean, is that what we're talking about?
a fatality is the liability. Somebody dying because there's not proper, this is an active construction site. It is not an open roadway.
Yeah.
Dave, it's not just somebody getting killed. If I heard Tim correctly, he said that there's sewer things that are sticking up.
There are manhole castings
Yeah,
that are
manhole
sticking up.
caskets sticking up. You can put a cone on it, but somebody thinks they're being funny, so they move the cone. Here comes a car along and bottoms out, and he rips up that casket, I think you call it. Okay, and damages their car. Guess who gets sued? It doesn't have to be a personal injury or death. It can be just straight damage to their vehicle or whatever else. So it becomes extremely broad, and we don't have insurance that I am aware of. Okay?
Casper holds liability insurance for a publicly funded project like this. It's part of the contract. We submit it at the start of the job. So it's all on us right now. If you direct me to open that road up, you need to take liability.
Can we look at because I think in the original contract, Phil, didn't it say that we're going to allow traffic through it? I mean, wasn't that part of it, access?
Access needs to be provided to the residents and businesses on the project at all times with the understanding that there may be work right in front of them
Sure.
at that moment.
Sure.
But we have been accommodating as best that we can.
So if you say you're going to allow access to Simonson Lumber or Moonlight Bay Restaurant, Simonson Lumber, because that's on that quadrant, now the access is around the backside. That's allowed. Coming
That's
down the road,
access. Yep.
right? I mean,
They have
it's a
access from
temporary
the
access.
backside. Yep.
It's not access on the
It's not
road.
great access, but they have access from the backside.
How do other I mean, like on 16, their insurance is okay covering it going back and forth. I guess I just.
Most likely, the project was designed that way for a phasing of the traffic control. You know, in this contract, there were no specific dates or holiday weekends that would have specified we need the roadway open on this weekend. And if that was the case, there would have been a temporary striping,
Correct.
additional traffic control in the original design.
What would your insurance company charge you to open it for the weekend?
Or could we do an addendum to the contract and ask our engineer to write a change order?
Change order for what?
For temporarily opening it up and attaching it to you. And then if there's a financial implication, tell us what it is. I mean,
My owners will not assume that liability, I'm sorry. This is a sue-happy world that we live in now. So somebody gets in an accident, they want to point the finger at who opened the roadway, who let this happen when there's no proper signage on this roadway. We've been watching bicyclists, people walking, vehicles go through. We've had multiple meetings out there where vehicles are speeding down the gravel. There's no posted speed limit signs. If I have a skid steer back up and this speeding vehicle
I
runs into them,
understand that.
not only is it my piece of equipment that gets wrecked, my operator that gets injured, whoever's driving that vehicle, one of your residents of your town, like I said, I want everybody to go home to their families that night, and safety is our biggest concern on this project.
It's back to the same question, does the city want to take on the liability to open this up in some way, fashion? That hasn't changed, that's still the main question.
For me, I'm not willing to have the city take on liability. I'm as frustrated probably as many of you. I get to every place I need to get to. Yes, it takes me longer. I route myself, and people are getting used to it. I think looking at all the issues, I don't want to do the liability.
I guess we've got a good representation of the business community out there. By a show of hands, can I see how many would like the city to take that liability on?
Okay, come on. It's a legal issue. You can't ask these people to come and do that.
We voted you in.
Well, fine. Vote me out. I'd be happy to.
If you're happy to, there's a door.
After we're addressing this on Friday, not a month ago, not 3 weeks ago, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but you knew this was coming. So now here we are Friday of the weekend, and here we sit trying to figure out something between 3 o'clock. That's BS out here. Who's dragging their feet? We all knew this was coming. Okay, Dave seems like the only one that has any concerns. Everybody else is like, yeah, well, okay, whatever, sorry, get used to it. Have a good weekend. Okay, pay my bills.
I'm sorry, he attends the construction meeting. If he doesn't inform the city council, if the city council isn't informed, we don't know about it. And not all of us are going to run down to the construction site.
Let's, okay, Cindy.
If indeed you mark the road closed this weekend, how do you think do you think people aren't going to go through there? So you're liable, right? So you either make it safe for them to get through there, or they're going to go through there. You're liable either way.
They illegally move a sign that they're.
Correct.
But you're still liable. You said you were liable for people moving the signs.
Our insurance company would battle with their insurance company at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they physically move a sign that says road closed and they drive through that, I'm pretty sure the court of law is gonna assume that they are liable for their actions. Now, if we open the roadway and somebody comes through and gets in an accident, I am liable for it.
Yeah.
So the guy moves the sign, 14 people go through there that didn't move the sign. One of those 14 people get injured. It's not the sign mover. It's a different person. I'm just saying, I know you're gonna probably move a tank in front of the road and it's not gonna happen, not clearly, but
So if anybody wants to say anything, please, you got to come up to the mic. So, we're put on the task, do we want to take liability on? I don't even know what we're asked to take on. I'm not sure liability is a scary word.
I have two things. One is I just want to make sure that, to reiterate, and I have some language with me that we drafted in case we get to this point, that the county wants to be indemnified too, just like this gentleman wants to be, his company to be indemnified. I can get a striper there this afternoon. I already verified. They are striping 16. A couple gentlemen reminded me of that, so I could get a striper here this afternoon.
That would be up to Casper. That would be up to Casper still, whether they want to open up the road or not.
This is not my decision. This is the city of Cross Lake's decision to assume liability and indemnify Casper, as he stated. If you want to open the roadway, I will do whatever I can with my forces that are out there right now to get rid of the signs that are blocking the roadway. But it is still not an active, open roadway. It's an active construction site. There are cones all over. There are castings sticking up. There are drop-offs of curbs, drop-off of driveways. There are lips at the bituminous tie-ins on north end, south end, and the side roads. There are hazards all over this project because it is not complete.
Tom, if we were to stripe it, could we go down the lane that the castings are not sticking up kind of and then jog around? Could we swing it that way so we try to avoid them? Dave, do you care? I mean,
The
Dave.
owner of the project, I'm the contractor. We have a contract together.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit and beat a dead horse. If you want to assume liability and indemnify me, that's the decision that needs to be made. We can talk about striping, we can talk about signs, but if you're not gonna assume liability.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we release Casper for the weekend for liability for the road and we go ahead and stripe the road. So that's a motion. Is there a second?
I have something to read that
No second? Motion dies. Do you want to read it?
So this is the indemnification language that we would need to protect the county too, is the city of Cross Lake hereby indemnifies Crow Wing County and its agents and assigns from any and all liability for reopening CASA 66 prior to the completion of the construction project number, I don't have the number. The city further agrees to defend and hold Crow Wing County harmless for its decision to reopen the road prior to construction activities being completed and prior to having been certified by Crow Wing County as being open to the public.
Okay.
And I think you already got your answer, Dave.
So, folks, if anybody's got it, sorry to waste your time. If anybody's got anything else to say in closing, I think we're done. And I apologize for that.
Thanks for trying, Dave. Any of you guys running for city council yet?
No.
Actually, support me. They have a
projected completion date?
hopefully by July 4th of 2023.